All right, here we go to the fourth and final game of this four-game series with the Greyhounds. The Greyhounds took the first game on Wednesday 5-4. The Blue Devils took the second one 5-0, and in walk-off fashion, Tyler Henry propels the Blue Devils to a win in the third game 4-3. So here we go. Because the first game went extra innings, this one will just be a 7-inning game. So Owen Wilson will lead off. Victor Gote will take his 3.66 ERA to the mound and throw a breaking ball for a strike for the first pitch of the game to Owen Wilson. A little bit low for 1-1 strike. Wilson was 1 for 5 in the first game with a base hit. There is 2 balls and a strike. Looks like this zone could be tight. 2 balls and a strike to the center fielder, Owen Wilson. Gote on the mound. There's a swing and a miss of that fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Wilson. Comes the 2-2. Swing and a miss. So a strikeout by Wilson to start this game. That's going to bring up Goldston. Goldston was 2 for 3 in the first game, had a couple of hits, flew out the other 3 times. He'll step in with 1 out and nobody on. Here in the top of the first of this final game of the 4-game set, that breaking ball just catches the outside corner. Comes the 0-1. Catches the outside corner again with that breaking pitch. So 0-2 the count. Comes the 0-2 by Victor Gote. And there's a base hit right back up the middle. That's going to bring up McKenzie. McKenzie was 1 for 5 in the first game. He takes ball 1. Breaking ball on the inside, trying to talk the umpire into the fact that it hit him. But no going on that. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out, runner at first in Goldston. Bednar with the step on second for the 4-3 double play to end that first half an inning. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back to get the bottom half of the first going in this second game. No score. Shane Scott is going to be on the mound for the Greyhounds. He's from Ponder, Texas. Blue Devils are going to have Harder, Hinestroza, and Santiago up. There's a foul ball over by the third base dugout. Harder reached on an error, had a strikeout and a couple ground outs, so he was 0 for 4 in the first game. There's a ball headed into the corner for extra bases, and Harder's going to stroll into second base with a double. It's going to bring up Hinestroza. Hinestroza was 0 for 3 in the first game. He'll be up there with nobody out and Harder at second base. The ground ball headed at the second baseman. He's up with it and over to first for the 4-3 out, and Harder goes to third. It's going to bring up Santiago. Santiago was 0 for 4 in the first game, had a called out on strike and 3 ground balls. He'll step in with 1 out and a runner at third, looking to get the Blue Devils on top here with just 1 out and a runner at third. Outside ball 1. Ground ball headed to the shortstop. Run's going to score. Long throw over. It's going to be a throwing error on the shortstop. So the Blue Devils with a 1-run lead here on that ground ball error by the shortstop. It would have been a scored run anyway, but nonetheless, 1 out, 1 run in, and that's going to bring up Jose Sosa, the designated hitter. Sosa was 1 for 3 in the first game, had a double. Takes ball 1. Runner goes. Ball is fouled off of the catcher. Bless you. All right, we get everybody squared away again here. The catcher's shaking that off. Santiago was running with the pitch. 1 run in. Harder with the double. Moved up on the ground out by Hinestroza and then scored on the E6 with Santiago. Swing and a miss. So 1 ball, 2 strikes to Jose Sosa, the designated hitter. He moves up and bats fourth with the platoon catching. Griffin Everett will catch the second game. He and Goodfellow have been platooning pretty much the entire year. Here comes the 1-2, runner going. Santiago has a stolen base. So 2-2 the count. Two balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Ground ball at the third baseman. He's up with it. Santiago's going to head for third, and he is there. So the second out of the inning is a 5-3. And Santiago moves to third. So 2 outs. Kemper Bednar comes to the plate with 1 run in for the Blue Devils here in the top of the first. 2 outs, Santiago at third. Bednar had a sac bunt and was 0 for 2 in the first game with a walk and a sac bunt. He steps in with 2 outs and a runner at third and promptly gets plucked in the back. It's going to bring up Tyler Henry. Tyler Henry had a walk called out on strikes, and then he had the 3-run home run to tie it up in the bottom of the 7th. And then in the 9th, he plugs the gap in left center for a walk-off. So officially he was 2 for 3 with 4 RBI in that first game. He'll step in with runners at the corners and 2 outs. Takes ball 1. Want to know the count? 2 outs. Santiago at third, Bednar at first, Henry at the plate. Inside ball 2. 2-0 the count. 1 run scored here in the bottom of the first by the Blue Devils. They won the first game with a walk-off hit by Tyler Henry, 4-3. Here comes the pitch. There's a ball headed for left center. That's going to be an RBI base hit. Bednar headed for third and is in safely. So an RBI base hit, and Tyler Henry continues his RBI barrage for the day. That's going to bring up Griffin Everett. Griffin pinch hit in the first game and was called out on strikes. He'll step in with 2 outs and the runners at first and third. Bednar at third. Henry at first. Way inside. 1-0 the count. Comes the 1-0, runner goes, pitches outside, so 2-0 the count. Henry with the stolen base, no throw. Bottom of the first action, Blue Devils have 2 so far, but they have 2 outs, runners at second and third. A strike called. 2-1 the count. Two runs on 2 hits here in the bottom of the first for the Blue Devils. Strike called outside corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on, 2 in. Lots of 2s in the inning. Griffin Everett at the plate. Comes the stretch by Scott and the pitch outside. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Griffin Everett. Comes the 3-2. There's a ground ball headed for the shortstop. He's up with it and over to first. So the Blue Devils get 2. They're in the bottom of the first. They take a 2-0 lead through 1 of this second game. We'll be back. Gote back for his second inning of work. Nakagawa, the designated hitter, will be up first. He was 2 for 4 in the first game with a couple base hits, a ground out, and a couple strikeouts. A fly to deep center field. Acosta takes care of that, so 1 pitch, 1 out. It's going to bring up Hall. He takes ball 1. Hall was 3 for 4 in the first game, had 3 base hits, one of them with an RBI. Gote on the mound, right-hander. There's a ground ball headed toward the second baseman. Harder up with it, over to Hinestroza for the second out of the inning. That's going to bring up Andrew Palsy. He takes ball 1. Comes the 1-0. Misses somewhere. 2-0. Two and 0 the count to Palsy. Everett behind the plate. Gote on the mound. There's a breaking pitch, swing and a miss. Left to right across the infield, Santiago Bednar. Harder and Hinestroza across the outfield. Henry, Acosta, and Schrick. Everett behind the plate. Here comes the 2-1. Inside ball 3. Two outs. Top of the second action. There's a foul ball off the foot of the batter, Palsy. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out to the left-handed hitting Palsy. Swing and a miss. So at the end of 1.5, Blue Devils lead by 2. Matt Schrick steps in. He hits a high fly to left field. Left fielder's underneath that and has it 1 pitch, 1 out for Scott. That's going to bring up Acosta. Eduardo, the center fielder. He steps in with 1 out. That pitch is high and outside. Comes the 1-0. High ball 2. Final game of the 4-game set. 2 were played on Wednesday. They split. There's a strike on the outside corner. 2 balls and a strike. Blue Devils took the first one today in 9 innings, which is extra because it was scheduled to be a 7. There's a ground ball at the shortstop. Merced up with it and over to the first baseman, Palsy, for the second out of the inning. Back to the top of the order, Trace Harder. He led off the game with a double to left field. He'll step in with 2 outs and nobody on. Ball 1, 1-0 the count. Comes the 1-0. Strike right through there. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs to Trace Harder. Breaking ball catches the outside corner. Comes the 1-2 from Scott, way outside, ball 2. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs here in the bottom of the second inning. Blue Devils leading 2-0 as they bat. 7 innings scheduled a game. Will pop up toward the second baseman. Bout misplays it, but goes back out and makes the play for the 3rd out. So at the end of 2 full innings, Blue Devils lead 2-0. Victor Gopay back to the mound for his third inning of work. Relihan, third baseman, will lead it off. He was 1 for 4 in the first game, had a double, strikeout, couple of strikeouts, and a pop out to the third baseman. He'll step in and face Gotay as he leads off the top of the third. Outside, ball 1. Here comes the 1-0. Breaking ball stays a little bit upstairs. 2-0 the count to Relihan. Comes the 2-0 from Gotay. That breaking ball right through there for strike 1 called. 2 balls and a strike. To Relihan. Check swing, foul ball down the third baseline. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Comes the wind in the 2-2 by Gotay. Foul ball down the left field line and on top of the batting cages. So we'll do the 2-2 again. Just misses a little bit inside. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Breaking ball just catches the outside corner for a called third strike. First out of the inning. That's going to bring up Merced. Merced is the shortstop. Merced was 0 for 4 in the first game. Reached on an error, had a couple ground out, and called out on a strike once. On strikes, he'll be up there with 1 out. It's high and inside, ball 1. 1-0 the count to the shortstop, Merced. Two and 0. Breaking pitch right through there, outside part of the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Another breaking ball catches the outside corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and an out to Merced, the shortstop. Comes the 2-2. Breaking ball in the dirt. So we'll go 3 balls, 2 strikes, and an out here with the Greyhounds of Fort Scott Community College as they bat in the top of the third. 4th game of the 4-game set. First one went to the Greyhounds. The next 2 have gone to the Blue Devils. There's strike called at breaking ball that just caught the outside corner. So back-to-back called out strikes on Relihan and Merced, and that's going to bring up Vance. Vance pinch hit in the first game and struck out. 2 outs. Strike called. Comes the 0-1. Fastball fouled back. Oh, and 2 the count. See if we get that breaking ball on the outside corner for 3 punch outs in this inning. Fastball going to be a high chopper up the middle. Up with it is Bednar for the out. So at the end of 2.5, Blue Devils lead 2-0. Shane Scott back for his 3rd inning of work. Hinestroza, Santiago, and Sosa scheduled up for the Blue Devils. They lead 2-0 as they bat here in the bottom of the 3rd. This game will be a 7-inning game. Strike, outside corner, strike called. 0-1 on Hinestroza. High and outside, ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nobody out as Hinestroza leads off the bottom half of the 3rd for the Blue Devils. Low and inside, ball 2. 2 balls, 1 strike. Blue Devils take the first game. Scheduled 7-inning game goes 9. Get a walk-off hit by Tyler Henry to win 4-3. There's a ground ball at Relihan. He's up with it and over to Palsy for the ground out. Out 5-3 is Hinestroza. It's going to bring it up Santiago. He reached on an error his first time up and then had a stolen base. He'll be up there with 1 out and nobody on to face Shane Scott. High ball 1. Relihan at 3rd, Merced at short, McKenzie at 2nd, and Palsy at 1st. Vance behind the plate. There's a strike called outside corner at the knees. Across the outfield, Hall in left, Wilson in center, and Goldston in right. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out to Santiago. Curveball hit it deep, and the sun gets in the outfielder's eyes. He's trying to shade it with his glove and then loses it in the sun. So a double for Santiago. So 1 out. That's going to bring up Sosa. Sosa grounded out to the third baseman his first time up. He'll be up there with 1 out and a runner at second in Santiago after that double based on a little sun helping things out. It's a line drive into left field. Coach is going to hold Santiago at third. So a line drive base hit to left for Sosa. That's going to bring up Kemper Bednar. Kemper was hit by a pitch his first time up. He'll step in. Runners at the corners, 1 out. Santiago at third. Sosa at first. Squares to bunt, takes high, ball 1. Want to know the count to Kemper Bednar. Gets the bunt down toward the pitcher. Pitcher's going to take the out. So a sac bunt for Kemper Bednar to score Santiago. That's going to bring up Tyler Henry. That brings the count to 3-0. Two outs now. Runner at second base in Sosa. Henry at the plate. Low and outside, ball 1. Want to know the count to Tyler Henry? Tyler had an RBI base hit to left center his first time up in this game. Had 4 RBI on a double and a home run in the first game. There's a ground ball foul over toward the third base dugout. 1 ball, 1 strike to Tyler Henry. The stretch and the pitch by Scott. Breaking ball catches the outside corner for strike 2 called. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Tyler Henry. Comes the 1-2. Fly ball to deep left center. And that ball is going to be up against the fence, and an RBI double for Tyler Henry. Going to have a visit to the mound. Going to make a pitching change, so we'll take a break. We'll get that change for you, and we'll be back. So the pitching change has been made. Scott goes 2 2/3 inning. Matt Dooley comes in relief. Griffin Everett will be up. Tyler Henry with his last 4 at-bats have been a 3-run home run, an RBI double, an RBI single, and an RBI double. So 4 straight hits with 6 RBI. Griffin Everett steps in, takes strike 1 at the belt, outside part of the plate. 4-0 lead as the Blue Devils bat here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. This second game will be a 7-inning game. Since the first game went extra innings, this one becomes a 7. Comes the 0-1. Waits on that breaking pitch and drives it down the right field line, but just a little bit foul. So 0-2 the count on Griffin Everett. So back to second goes Henry. Comes the 0-2. It's high, ball 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. "4-0 count. Bottom of the 3rd action. Dooley on in relief of Scott for the Greyhounds. A little bit high indoor outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 runs in the inning. Comes the 2-2. Breaking ball in the dirt, nicely blocked by Vance. So 3-2 the count on Everett, the platoon catcher for the second game. Jeff Vance, the platoon catcher for the second game for the Greyhounds. Here comes the 3-2, outside ball 4. So a walk issued to Everett. That's going to bring up Matt Schrick. He flew out to left field his last time up. He'll be up there with 2 outs and 2 on. Henry at second, Everett at first. Strike called inside part of the plate at the knees. Owen won the count. 2 runs in the inning. Blue Devils scored 2 in the first and 2 so far here in the 3rd to lead 4-0. Swing and a miss of that high fastball. So 0-2 down in the count is Schrick, the right fielder. Comes the 0-2. Swing and a foul ball miss into the catcher's mitt of Vance. So at the end of 3, Blue Devils lead 4-0. To the top of the fourth we go. Greyhounds was scheduled to send up Wilson, Goldston, and McKenzie. Victor Gote back to the mound for his fourth inning of work. Blue Devils leading 4-0 with the Greyhounds batting here in the top of the fourth. Takes high, ball one. Want to know the count to Wilson. He struck out his first time up in this game. Fly ball too deep, left center. That ball is out of here. So a home run by Wilson cuts the lead to 4-1. It's going to bring up Goldston. He had a base hit to center field his first time up in this. The second game of the two-game set today. The first one went to the Blue Devils 4-3 in 9, which was 2 extra innings. Was a scheduled 7-inning game. Here comes the pitch. Outside, ball one. Want to know the count to Goldston, the right fielder. Breaking ball, he waits on it. It's it down the right field line, and that's going to be foul. So 1-1 strike, the count to Goldston. Comes the 1-1. Breaking ball, waits on it, but fouls it away. Comes the 1-2 pitch. Another breaking ball slapped down the right field line and foul. Four to 1 here in the top of the fourth inning. Gote on the mound. Comes the 1-2 pitch. Outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Still nobody out. Goldston bats after the home run by Wilson. There's a I didn't mean to swing at that breaking pitch on the outside corner for a strikeout. It's going to bring up McKenzie. He'll be up there with 1 out. McKenzie is from Burleson, Texas. He steps in with 1 out and nobody on. Strike. On the attempt at the check swing, didn't mean to. 0-1 the count. Comes the pitch, the 0-1 from Gote. Just misses low and inside. So 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 run in for the Greyhounds here in the top of the fourth. It's going to be a chopper down towards Santiago and foul. One ball, 2 strikes to the second baseman, McKenzie. Blue Devils playing McKenzie to pull. Bednar over close to second. There's a ground ball headed to left field. That's going to be an error. That's a tough play to make. You're not used to going to your right as a shortstop, but most of all, you're right there trying to catch the ball where the grass and the turf meet. That's going to bring up Nakagawa. He flew out his first at bat. He'll be up there with one out, runner at first. Breaking pitch catches the inside corner at the knees for a strike one called. Comes the 0-1. Misses a little bit low and outside, so 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 on. 1 run in the inning for the Greyhounds. Comes the 1-1. Breaking pitch lifted to right field. Schrick is going to bring that down for the second out of the inning. Back to first is McKenzie. That's going to bring up Hall. Hall's the left fielder. He grounded out to second base his first time up in this second game. He'll be up there on the left-handed side facing the right-handed throwing Gote. Fouled that one over into the Greyhound dugout. Oh, and 1 the count, 2 outs. Top of the 4th action. Strike at the letters. At the belt. Outside half of the plate. So 0-2 the count. Gote has Hall down in the count. Strike 3 called. So Hall goes down on strikes for the 3rd out of the inning. We go to the bottom half of the 4th with the Blue Devils ahead 4-1. We'll be back. Matt Dooley back to the mound for the Greyhounds. Costa, Harder, and Hinestrosa scheduled up for the Blue Devils here in the bottom half of the 4th. Acosta grounded out to the shortstop, his first at bat in this, the second game. Pitch from Dooley. Shortstop's going to come up with it and a long throw and just gets him. So a nice play by Merced to get Acosta. Very close play at first. That's going to bring up Harder. He's 1 for 2 in this second game with a double into the left field corner. He'll be up there with 1 out and nobody on. Strike at the belt, outside part of the plate. Comes the 0-1 from Dooley. Outside. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Comes the 1-1 in the dirt. 2-1 the count. Comes the 2-1. High and outside, ball 3. So 3-1 the count to Harder. He bats here in the bottom of the 4th with 1 out. Strike called. Upper limits there of that strike zone. So 3-2 outside part of the plate. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Dueling with Harder. It's a ground ball to deep third. Long throw from the third baseman to get Harder. That was a very nice play by the third baseman, Relihan. It's going to bring up Hinostroza. Hinostroza's grounded out twice, once to second base and once to third base. He'll step in on the left-handed side to face the right-handed throwing Dooley. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. Foul ball back and out of play. Comes the 0-1. Way up high and outside, so 1 ball and 1 strike to the first baseman, Hinostroza. Hinostroza from McLouth, Kansas. It's a base hit into left field for Hinostroza. So a 2-out hit to Santiago. Santiago with a double his last at bat, reached on an error his first at bat and had a stolen base. He'll step in to face Dooley with 2 outs and a runner at first in Hinostroza. First pitch, inside, 1-0 to Santiago. Throw back over to first, back in safely is Hinostroza. Strike outside corner at the knees. One and one the count on Santiago. Breaking pitch breaks the outside corner of the plate at the knees. So 1-2 the count. That's about as much emotion as you'll see out of Kevin Santiago at the plate is on that pitch right there. Here comes the stretch in the 1-2. Fly ball down the right field line. Be nice if it'd stay fair, but it's foul in the corner. The right fielder was having a hard time finding it. If it had been in fair territory, they'd still be running. So 1-2 the count. We'll do it again. Santiago, the third baseman, at the plate. Outside in the dirt. Backhand scoop by Vance to keep that from going to the screen. I don't know if Vance has contacts or if he just got a piece of the black turf popping, or the rubber from the turf popping up in his face, but he's got her fixed. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Here in the bottom of the 4th, Blue Devils leading 4-1. Scheduled 7-inning game. Comes the stretch and the 2-2. Runner goes outside. Throw to second, and Sosa is out. So Santiago will lead off the next inning. We go to the top of the 5th. Blue Devils lead 4-1. Top of the 5th. Gote back for more work. It's a ground ball to Santiago. Santiago, he's up with it and over to Hinestrosa to get Palsy on a 5-3. 5-3 ground out. That's going to bring up Relihan. Relihan was called out on strikes his first time up in this game. He'll step in as he bats here in the top of the 5th with 1 out. Breaking ball right through there. Comes the 0-1. Just misses a little bit down. Check swing by Relihan. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out. Comes the wind and the pitch from Gote. Outside ball 2, so 2-1 to Relihan. Comes the wind and the 2-1. Swing through that breaking pitch. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the third baseman. Comes the 2-2. Ground ball at Bednar. Bednar up with it and over to first. and just does get him. So a 6-3 ground out to get Relihan. That's going to bring up Merced. Merced was called out on strikes his last time up. So back-to-back ground balls to the left side for outs make their 2 down here in the top of the 5th. Swing and a miss, so that breaking pitch. So down in the count 0-1 is Merced. Comes the wind in the 0-1 by Gote. Strike called at the knees. So 0-2. Just a little bit low. 1 ball, 2 strikes to the shortstop, Merced. Gote in his 5th inning of work. Comes the 1-2. Breaking pitch, called 3rd strike. So Merced back-to-back punch outs for him. We'll go to the bottom half of the 6th. Blue Devils lead 4-1. Okay, Santiago back to lead off. He was up when Sosa was thrown out at second. So, or excuse me, Hinestroza was thrown out at second. Santiago, Sosa, and Bednar. There's a foul back and strike 1 to Santiago.
Don't mess with the hits and runs. Just do strike ball and out.
0-1. Swing and a miss of that breaking pitch on the outside part. Actually, a little outside to me, it looked. 0-2 the count. Down quickly in the count is Santiago. He's up there with nobody out as he leads off the bottom of the 6th for the Blue Devils. Strike 3 called at the knees, outside corner. So that's going to bring up Sosa. Sosa grounded out to the 3rd baseman and had a base hit to left field so far in this 2nd game. Ball 1. Comes the pitch. Foul ball back and over the top of us. It's 1 ball, 1 strike, and 1 out. Strike outside corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes. High and inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's all I'm saying.
Got dead air going. Dead air.
What's that air?
Outside.
Did you not play music during that inning?
3-2 the count to Sosa. Jose Sosa, the designated hitter. Here comes the pitch. It's a ground ball to the third baseman. Relihan up with it over to Palsy for the 5-3 ground out. That'll bring up Bednar. Bednar's been hit by a pitch and had a sac bunt to score a run. He takes 1-0. Comes the 1-0 from Dooley. Squares to bunt. Takes strike 1 called. I think that may be the one negative thing I see in squaring to bunt so much is you get that high strike called a lot of times. Comes the 1-1. Outside ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike. Kemper Bednar, the shortstop, batting here with 2 outs in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Blue Devils lead 4-1. Outside again. 3-1 the count. Comes the pitch. Ball 4, a little bit low. So Bednar with the base on balls with 2 outs. That's going to bring up Henry. Henry's had an RBI base hit and an RBI double. He's been living in from left field over to the 394 sign with 4 hits in his last 4 at-bats. I'll throw back over to first, back in safely is Bednar. Pitches up high. 1-0 the count to Tyler Henry. Foul ball backing out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 outs. Bednar at first. He worked a 2-out walk. Henry, the left fielder, at the plate. Comes the 1-1 from Dooley. Strike called outside corner. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. Bednar at first. Dooley on the mound for the Greyhounds. Fly ball popped into right field, shallow. Second baseman out to make the play. So at the end of 5 full innings, Blue Devils lead 4-1. We'll be back. To the top of the 6th we go. Victor Gote back to the mound. Vance, Wilson, and Goldston scheduled up for the Greyhounds. Vance grounded out to Bednar at short his first time up. Squares to bunt. Pulls back for ball 1. Comes the 1-0. Breaking ball right through there. 1 ball, 1 strike. To Vance. Outside, 2 balls and a strike. Swing and a miss of that fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the catcher, Vance. Jeff Vance. Comes the wind and the pitch from Gote. Little dribbler down the first base line, but foul, so we'll do the 2-2 again. Comes the wind to end the 2-2. Do the 2-2 again. Ground ball to Harder at second. Over to Hinestrosa for the out. It's going to bring up Wilson. Wilson has a strikeout and a home run in this game. He accounts for the 1 run. There's a breaking ball, just catches the outside corner. 0-1 the count on Wilson, the center fielder. That ball hits him. So a 1 out hit by pitch. So Wilson will be on first for Goldston with 1 out. Goldston has a base hit and a strikeout in this game. He'll be up there with 1 out and 1 on. Breaking pitch catches the outside corner for strike 1 called. Outside. Nicely blocked by Everett. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 on. Throw over to first. Back in safely is Wilson. Strike called inside corner. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ground ball right back to the pitcher, to Bednar at second, and back over to first for the 1-6-3 to end the 6th. So we go to the bottom half of the 6th with the Blue Devils leading 4-1. To the bottom half of the 6th inning we go. Blue Devils lead 4-1. Number 27, Bailey Cantu from Springfield, Missouri, comes in to pitch. Tall right-hander for the Greyhounds. Everett, Schrick, and Acosta scheduled up for the Blue Devils. Their lead is 4-1. This is a 7-inning scheduled game due to the extra innings of the first game. Misses inside, ball 1. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bailey Cantu on in relief of Dooley. Another swing and a miss, so 1 ball, 2 strikes to Griffin Everett, the catcher. Comes the 1-2. Swing and a miss. So down on strikes is Everett. It's going to bring up Matt Schrick. Matt flew out to left his first time up of this second game and struck out in his second at bat. He'll be up there with one out and nobody on as the Blue Devils bat here in their bottom half of the sixth inning. Strike, fastball right through there.
66. Yeah, that's about right. I'd probably get
0-1
67.
the count. Comes the wind and the pitch from Cantu. The foul ball down the left field line, way foul.
That ball was into the street.
No, I said that dude over there. Tyler hit one ball. He hit the ball at the top of the street. It's just like the place that he hit it. Is this their reliever, bro?
0-2 the count.
Probably 67 miles an hour. I think this is the guy that shut us down. He hit it honestly.
Comes the 0-2. Swing and a miss.
That was a nasty slider. Yeah, he throws like 92. Is that right? 92.
2 outs in the inning. That's going to bring up Acosta. Acosta's grounded out twice to the shortstop Merced. He'll be up there with 2 outs and nobody on. A little bit high, ball 1. Comes the 1-0. Right through there, strike 1 called. Relihan at third. Merced at short. McKenzie at short. A little bit low. 2-1. And Palsy at first. Hall in left. Wilson in center. Goldston in right. Vance behind the plate. Pop up on the infield. Relihan in to take care of that for the 3rd out of the inning. So we go to the top of the 7th. This is a 7-inning scheduled game. Blue Devils lead 4-1. We'll be back. Gote back to the mound for his 7th inning of work. He has a 4-1 lead over the Greyhounds. Scheduled up for the Greyhounds, McKenzie, Nakagawa, and Hall. Breaking ball right through there for a strike called. Comes the 0-1. Swing, foul ball. 0-2 on Nakagawa, the designated hitter. Comes the 0-2 from Gote. Ground ball at the shortstop. Bednar up with it and over to Hinestrosa for the out. So a 6-3 for the first out of the inning on McKenzie. That's going to bring up Nakagawa. He has flown out to center field and right field, his 2 at-bats this game. He steps in with 1 out, nobody on. Ground ball up with it is Harder. Harder dives, grabs that short hop, throws it to Hinestroza for the second out of the inning. That's going to bring up Hall. Top of the 7th action. Greyhounds down to their last out. Here comes Gotay's pitch to Hall. Just a little bit outside, ball 1. Hall's grounded out to the second baseman and been called out on strikes. Two and 0 the count on Hall. Hall, the left fielder. Little bit low, ball 3. 3 and 0 the count. Strike outside corner at the waist. 3 and 1 the count. Comes the wind in the 3-1. The ball hit into the right field corner, just about a foot foul. So for the moment, the Greyhounds are down to their last strike. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs to Hall. A wicked breaking pitch for a called third strike. And the Blue Devils take 3 of 4. They lose the first one on Wednesday down in Fort Scott and then win the second one down there and take 2 today. So the Blue Devils get 3 of 4. We will see you on the week on Wednesday night. I will plan to have a little update and a preview of the upcoming series. I appreciate those of you that watched today. Enjoy what little there is left of your weekend. We'll see you next time.